Hey guys, Captain Mike. Welcome to Whiskey and Literature. I'm excited about this video tonight. I just got back from Arizona, the Tempe, Chandler area. We drove around to 7 or 8 different liquor stores. I was there visiting some family, did kind of a late Christmas, and picked up 4 bottles. Thought I'd share with you what I picked up. We'll pop the top on one of them and give it a go. By this point, it is kind of understood by my family and friends that if I'm in the area, we're gonna spend at least a little bit of time driving around to the local liquor stores and seeing what's in the area. Of course, I am a fan of High West, so I ended up buying 4 bottles over the few days we were there at 2 different stores. One of them was Total Wine, and I don't really usually find super exciting bottles at Total Wine. It's where I go to get oftentimes kind of the shelf stable products, you know, Wild Turkey Rare Breed, the basic High West bottles and all that sort of stuff. But I checked it out there in the Chandler Mall, the Total Wine, and they had a High West Cask selection. This is their bourbon finished in Chardonnay. The Cask collection has been a recent addition to the lineup for High West. They've been running the Barrel Select program for quite a while now. And the Cask collection, the first one I found was a Cask Strength Bourbon, which I'm still, the jury's out on that one for me still. Over Thanksgiving, I was out in Utah. I found a Cask collection that was a 100 proof bourbon finished in the Cabernet. And they had this, the bourbon finished in Chardonnay in the Chandler Total Wine. So I picked this up for $74.99. We're not going to talk any more about this bottle other than I have 34 High West bottles at my house right now. And I think I'm going to do like a big just Barrel Select Cask Collection High West video here in the future. If you're down for something like that, let me know in the comments below. I really am a fan of High West. I like their core products, and I've been a fan of their finished products, certainly. So if you're ever in Tempe, Arizona, there's a kind of smallish store, Tops Liquor, and I had a great time there and ended up buying my next 3 bottles from Tops. And none of them are new bottles or exciting necessarily, but they're things that I look for when I'm going out. And of course, it's another High West. This is from their Barrel Select program, which they've been running for a number of years. And they do, I think, pretty great stuff with their finishing products. And whenever I find one of their expressions in a different kind of barrel finish, I love to pick it up. This was $54.99 for the double rye, finished in Aquavit for 1 year and 4 months. And this was bottled at a nice 51.3 ABV. And as big a fan as I am of their bourbons that are finished, I'm an even bigger fan of their double rye, and I don't have any of the Rendezvous rye finished stuff. I would like to get some of those. I just haven't seen any in any of the areas except for in Utah. But I'm excited about this bottle. I'm actually gonna go buy a bottle of Aquavit tomorrow because, well, I don't even know what Aquavit is. And buying these kind of bottles from High West has encouraged me to go out and buy other stuff, other liqueurs that I'm not familiar with so that I can taste them. So then when I open these bottles, I can know what notes and to be looking for as I'm sipping on this. Like if you've never had Aquavit and you're drinking this bottle, how do you even know what to look for? I don't know. That's why I like to do it, and I think it's fun. And it's not just the High West. I bought recently, well, last year, a Jim Beam. It was their single malt, and it was finished in a Courvoisier. I was like, I don't even know what Courvoisier is, so I went out and bought some Courvoisier. Had some nice pours of that before I opened that Jim Beam and was looking for those notes in the Jim Beam. And I think that's fun. I will say at Tops Liquor, they have kind of a mix of some newer stuff and quite a bit of older stuff as well. And I'll just mention a couple of the bottles that I passed on and tell me what you think. Would you have picked up those bottles or the bottles that I'm talking about? Now, I had a limited ability to bring bottles home, and I thought 4 was a pretty good number without totally getting too heavy in my bags. I came back from Kentucky last year and I had 7 bottles in one bag, and that was really pushing it to its limit. So I thought 4 was a pretty decent one. But they had the Angel's Envy Cask Strength, and I almost bid on that one. It was the bourbon, and they wanted $2.59 for that bottle, and that's, I think, actually a decent price for the Angel's Envy cask strength. Almost bid on that one, but I passed. They had the 1792 sweet wheat, and I was really excited when I first saw it until I saw the price. They wanted $99 for that, and I might regret not picking that one up. I really like the 1792 foolproof. I'm so on the bottle and bond and the small batches, whatever. But the sweet wheat, maybe I should have picked that one up. What would you have done? Sweet wheat or one of these other bottles that I got? And they also had a couple of boxes of Booker's from 2022. I don't remember which one it was exactly, but I ended up passing on all those bottles, and they had quite a few other stuff in there that I just didn't have the room for it or the cash, honestly. But they had this little book there. This is chapter 5. I paid $149.99 for this bottle, which is higher than the MSRP when this came out 2 years ago. But it is right in line pretty much with the cost of Little Book in 2023. So I felt pretty good about picking this up, and honestly the reviews on chapter 5 of Little Book have been pretty mixed online, and I don't know, I've had chapter 7 in retrospect, and I think that is a fantastic pour. So I'm pretty excited to have this one. It's pretty young whiskeys in this bottle, but I guess I'm going to be filling in my Little Book and even my Booker's collection kind of backwards. I just picked up an Elijah Craig, a couple of the older B and C batches. I think the B522 I picked up, and one of the 21s I picked up as well. So these were bottles that came out really before I was really drinking a lot of whiskey, and so I'm excited to get some of these older expressions and being able to compare them to the newer ones. Okay, this last bottle is not a bottle I ever expected to find here in the United States. Last year in July of 2023, Mrs. Captain and I went to Iceland, spent 3 nights there, and we did a distillery tour at the only whiskey distillery in Iceland, the Eimverk Distillery. I bought a bottle, not of this expression here, but one of their other whiskeys. I think it was around $80. And I was gonna check my bag, but we were traveling standby, and I ended up just not checking a bag, and so I couldn't get that bottle through security, and so I ended up throwing that bottle of whiskey in the garbage can at the Reykjavik airport. Full bottle of whiskey, $80, boom, right in the garbage can. He's got this glass, this cabinet at Tops Liquor, just chock full of different bottles. And he's like, yeah, you can just go through it. And so we were pulling bottles out and just looking at them. And I could not believe it. I came across the Eimverk Distillery Floki. It's a single malt whiskey, and I knew I just had to pick this up. And yes, I know I overpaid for this. I mean, is there an MSRP really for Iceland whiskey in the United States? Don't know. I paid $97.99 for this, which is more than I paid for the bottle in Iceland, but I was still excited to find it. And so let's talk about this bottle, get a little pour, and tell you what I think about it. We did a tour and tasting in Iceland, and we had this is the only time that I've ever felt somewhat inebriated after a tasting at a distillery. They had to have given us 7 or 8 different pretty healthy tastings of pours at that distillery, and it was good stuff, and we pretty much stumbled out of that distillery. And if you are interested, on the back of this bottle, and I looked it up online, it says it was imported by Anthem Imports from Georgia. And when I clicked on this, and they have it right on their website, the Eimverk Distillery products, it is available, I believe, in the Atlanta, Georgia area. So if you are interested in getting some Iceland whiskey, boom, and you're in Georgia, I think you're in luck. I don't know how this made it to Tempe, Arizona. Okay, this, I think, like all of Eimverk Distillery's products, or at least the Floki, they are all single barrels. This is 100% malted barley. The barley is 100% from Iceland. The water used in the distillation process is also 100% Icelandic water. So the first product I believe that this distillery released in 2014 was the Floki Young Malt. That was a 1 to 2 year old single malt. And this brand here, or this expression, this single malt, it is aged for at least 3 years in used Floki Young single malt barrels. And it is bottled at 47 ABV. I'll say it's a very light color. Light straw. It doesn't really have any, not a golden color, just really light and yellow. I just opened this. Wow. Maybe I should have opened it before. Let's see. This was bottled in 2020. So I just bought it in January 2024 in Tempe, Arizona. This has been sitting in this bottle for 4 years. And you can actually see the label is kind of worse for the wear. It's been probably sitting in that cabinet for who knows how long. It's a really young nose. It's a single malt, so it doesn't have any of those bourbony notes. It's grassy. I said it looked like straw color maybe, and it kind of smells like straw. I was gonna say grass, but maybe that's more into a straw kind of area there. Just a hint of caramel. A bit of sweetness, maybe some honey in there. I'm not gonna say this is the best nose that I've ever nosed from a whiskey. Still very young, certainly for a single malt. And when we were at the distillery, I think they had 45 or 50 barrels that were aging. It's a pretty small distillery. But it has that overwhelming single malt note, just really young. It's a little light on the nose as well. Anyway, cheers. Whoa. There's like a big vanilla note on there. A bit of nuttiness. There's no real sweetness to it. It's really dry. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, definitely it's like a vanilla-y note. There is a bit of a bite. No, that's not the right word. Maybe it's a bit sharp. Is that a good description for a whiskey? Sharp? It's been a long while since we were in Iceland, and I've had quite a few scotches since then, which are single malts, and this really does not have the same notes that I get in those scotches. Now, of course, the scotches are by and large quite a bit older than this 3-year-old expression of a single malt. I'm gonna say, yeah, it's dry, just a bit of nuttiness in there. Man, paid $97 for this. And I think that's quite a bit of money for a 3-year-old single malt, but it's a bottle that I wanted to have because we did that distillery tour. And so I was really excited to see this. And we all have bottles that are like that. Like, I feel like my Jack Daniel's Sinatra is kind of the same way. Maybe the whiskey doesn't command the price that I paid for that bottle, but the very first bottle of whiskey that I ever purchased was a Jack Daniel's Frank Sinatra. And so that's a bottle that I want to have on my shelf because it has a bit of meaning for me. Again, there's no sweetness really, dry. It's kind of a light mouthfeel. It's not very viscous, or it's not, there's no real texture to it. A bit of nuttiness and sharp. I'm getting just a bit of lingering heat on the back of my palate right now. maybe just a bit of, just a hint of spice. Is there spice in single malt? Maybe a bit of cinnamon on the finish there. I'm not gonna say cinnamon, but it's just a bit of heat. Just a bit of heat on the finish. Okay, Floki single barrel, single malt, 3-year-old Icelandic whiskey. For $97, if you see this on the shelf, I'm not sure that you should pick it up. I love doing the tour there. I'm really happy to have gone and seen what they're doing. I think maybe if they age this a little longer, and I don't know, when they age this in Iceland, are they climate controlling that? I mean, it's pretty chilly in Iceland. We were there in July and it was still pretty chilly. And so I think, I mean, how fast in these kind of conditions does whiskey age? I think it doesn't age very quickly. And you know, maybe the lightness of the color here is because it's a second use barrel. Maybe a 3-year-old in a new barrel, it would be a darker color. Maybe it'd have absorbed more of those notes from the oak. I don't know. I think it's an okay whiskey. I think it'd be fun to take and share with people, and it's not offensive really, but it's not blowing me away. And I'm happy to have it with me, but maybe I should have bought that 1792 sweet wheat instead. Anyway, all right, guys, what do you think about my bottles? Two High West, a little book, and this Icelandic single malt. Would, you know, I mean, are these bottles that you even think about buying? I'm excited, really, probably most excited about the little book here to kind of fill in the gaps. I have a lot of High West, and I'm always happy to pick these up. And I did just have my friend pick up for me in Salt Lake, and it'll be here in a couple of days. The Prisoner's Share 2023 from High West. I'm so excited for that and got it at MSRP. So yeah, really grateful for that and looking forward to popping that top. All right, my guys, that's it for tonight. And you know what to do. I hope you're reading something good and drinking something great. Turn the pages, my friends, and stay thirsty. Cheers.